to turn the damn thing on. Okay, there we go. Anyway, so pet ownership is a good thing. They missed all my horrible stories about my dogs and their bark. Spirituality has been linked with medicine through human history. 80% of Americans believe that spirituality promoted and supports good health. 80% believe this. A lot of times all you need to do is believe something and you get the placebo effect, and so it becomes true. So believing is really important. So if 80% of Americans believe that spirituality leads to good health, then potentially those 80% will have good health because they believe that this is going to work. People who are religiously active tend to live longer than people who are not active. 69% of people in the United States say that they are moderately to very religious. We come from a very religious country, and that's one of the reasons why some of our social laws have to do with families, have to do with keeping people together. There are people in the United States that say, that read the First Amendment to the Constitution, which says we have the freedom of religion. And they believe that that means that you have to have a religion, freedom of religion. It doesn't say freedom from religion, and that's their rationale. Their rationale is that everybody has to go to church. And in some communities, that's the way it works. And if you're not a churchgoer in one of these communities, then potentially you're shunned. You're rejected. And that's actually what happened to me. I told you the story of growing up in a town with 3 Methodist churches, the German Methodist Church, the English Methodist Church, and the American Methodist Church. And if you weren't a Methodist, then you were rejected. This is a Methodist town, damn it. And if you don't go to church, then we don't want you here. There are towns in the United States that are Swedish. There are towns that are German. There are towns that are Norwegian. If you go up to Minnesota, if you go up to Minnesota, you can go to St. Olaf's or you can go to Gustavus Adolphus College. Those two colleges are Scandinavian colleges, but one of them, St. Olaf's, is Norwegian. And if you're Swedish, you go to Gustavus Adolphus because it's Swedish, okay? If you were Norwegian, you wouldn't go to a Swedish school. Everybody knows that.
I didn't know St. Olaf was a real place.
Oh yeah, St. Olaf's College. You bet. I have a friend that just applied.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I just thought.
St. Olaf's, you bet. And Gustavus Adolphus, and they're right next to each other. That's the bizarre part. They're like 20 miles apart, and they hate each other. They are each other's worst rivals.
He knows Golden Girls.
Well, I thought it was just only for like a fictional place in that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
In that store, in that show. So.
Yeah, no,
I was like, wait,
it's real.
I want to do that.
They're nuts. These people are crazy about this kind of stuff. I mean, it's like, you guys don't have anybody that you're rivals with, but if you did, if you hate, well, the Hopi. There's a lot of Navajos that don't like the Hopi. They displaced individuals. So there's that rivalry going on. This is worse because this goes back centuries. Norway used to be part of Sweden, and they didn't feel like the Swedes treated them very well. Norwegians tend to have brown hair, and Swedes, of course, tend to have blonde hair. The eye color is different. They say that they can tell the difference. They don't speak the same language, despite the fact that it sounds the same. They only want to help, okay? Norwegian and Swedish, they're both Scandinavian languages. They're both Germanic languages. They can understand each other. Anyway, we won't go into the rest of it. I got tangled up in this stuff. When we were in Germany, of course, both countries are our allies. And we would go up to Norway, and of course, we immediately get embroiled in this whole mess. The Norwegian flag is red and blue. The Swedish flag is yellow and a different color of blue. So nothing in Norway is the Swedish color of blue. I mean, it's like Carolina blue, North Carolina blue, the Tar Heels. It's weird. It is just so strange. Nothing's yellow in Norway. And nothing is red in Sweden. People who are religiously active tend to eat healthier, they tend to exercise more, they tend to smoke less, consume alcohol less, and are less likely to engage in high-risk sexual behavior because, of course, the religion is their social stricture, and the religion tells them how they're supposed to act, and that is not in a promiscuous fashion. And also that some religions will not allow you to drink. Some religions won't allow you to dance. Some religions won't allow you to listen to music, as weird as that sounds. So if you're a Baptist, you're not supposed to dance or listen to music. If you're a Baptist, you're not supposed to drink. If you're Mormon, you're not supposed to consume anything that is considered an intoxicant, including caffeine. As weird as that may seem to everybody that drinks coffee and Mountain Dew and whatnot.
Not even tea.
It's got caffeine in it. They drink water, they drink Gatorade, when I was living in Omaha, Creighton University, I was working at the hospital that's connected to Creighton University. And Creighton would recruit dental students from Idaho, and almost all their dental students were Mormon. And those guys would come and work for me in my section of the laboratory. It was really an educational situation because I hadn't been in that much contact with Mormons before. When I was in the military, I had friends who were Mormon. And that was a bit of a culture shock. They had different ideas than I did. I was really fascinated with who they were. I was actually adopted twice. Evidently, they have this deal where they're supposed to keep a year's worth of food and supplies in their house, so that when the apocalypse happens, that they're prepared for it. And they're supposed to be able to take care of their own family plus somebody else's family who's not Mormon. And I was adopted into, or whatever they call it. My family was supposed to be one of them that was going to be saved by that Mormon family. That's when I was in the service. Since I've been out, these people haven't kept contact with me to make sure that they can save me when the apocalypse happens. Religious attendance protects adherents from migraine headaches. They tend to have lower blood pressure, so it actually protects them from migraines and high blood pressure. Healthier lifestyle accounts for 25% of the longevity difference between people. They have rules, and the rules are set up by their church. So they have to follow the rules or they go to hell. I guess that's the way it works. I don't know if they actually go to hell or not. It's kind of exciting. Religion tends to be communal. The religiously active tend to have more social ties than the general population. People who go to church on a regular basis have a sense of group identity. They identify themselves as a Mormon. They identify themselves as a Seventh-day Adventist. They identify themselves as a Presbyterian, Episcopalian, Lutheran, Church of the Nazarene, whatever church they may happen to go to. Catholic, today is Ash Wednesday. So if you see somebody with the cross on their head, it means they're Catholic. And today's the first day of Lent, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not really very good with this religious stuff. Yesterday was Shrove Tuesday. Today is Ash Wednesday. Easter is sometime in April. The first full moon in April? I don't know. I don't understand how Easter works. It's a different day every year, which just drives me nuts. Christmas is on the 25th of December every damn year, so why does Easter just skip around all over the calendar? Why does that happen? Sometimes it's in March, sometimes it's in April, sometimes it's in late April, sometimes it's in early April, sometimes it's in early March. It just drives me nuts. And I hope nobody's offended. I tend to offend religious people sometimes. That's nice. Ooh, it's smooth too. Huh. It's supposed to look like somebody weaved it, but it's not. It's just a picture.
Yep.
It's cheating is what it is. People who go to church on a regular basis have a sense of group identity. This can mean tangible assistance during times of stress, informational support. My wife gets a lot of information from the church. So the apples didn't grow last year. So she mentions something in church, and not only do people offer her apples, but they also offer her an explanation as to why our apples didn't grow. There you go. So now she has information from the people that go to her church. Invisible support, or the perception that people in the community care, and of course that's important as far as she's concerned. Being military, we moved around a lot, so we didn't really put down any roots any place. So it's really difficult for us to accept people who like us. We're not exactly sure what that means, because you guys live in the same damn place for your whole damn lives. So you know where your cousin is. You know that this guy 7 years ago helped you with your car. You've got all this information. You know where to find anything that you need because your uncle was able to get this guy to tow his car out in the mud, 15 years ago. So you got all this information, but people like us, since we're vagabonds, we have no clue. We have no clue how any of this takes place. So my wife, of course, is real good at she goes to church, so she finds people that will help her, and she finds out all this information. And it's really important to her that she has all this information, especially now that she's living alone in Iowa, and I'm down here, of course. Probably noticed I was here, right? Well, she's up there all by herself on a farm. And our driveway is a quarter mile, not a quarter mile, it's a furlong. It's 220 yards from our house to our mailbox. So she didn't know how to get anybody to clear off her driveway. And then she asked somebody at church, and they said, there's this really nice guy that wants to do that to make a little extra money. And so she invited him out. Now he brings over his Bobcat behind his pickup truck, and he cleans off her driveway for $20 every time it snows. It's not a bad deal. If I were there, see, I got a tractor with a scoop on it, so I can clean it off myself, but she can't get up on the tractor, so I don't know if she could drive it anyway. Spiritual activity may promote health by fostering more positive emotions. People that go to church tend to be more optimistic. They have a more hopeful worldview because the idea of going to church, most churches tell you that you're going to, once you die, that you have someplace to go, that you're going to heaven, you're going to whatever, nirvana, whatever it may happen to be. You have feelings of acceptance. And this is really important as far as humans are concerned. Humans need to feel accepted by the people around them. That's really important for us. If we feel rejected, the next thing that may potentially happen is we may hurt ourselves. We may kill ourselves. We may become suicidal to the extent that we start smoking cigarettes and eating a lot of fatty foods and drinking a lot of alcohol. A form of slow suicide. Because we feel rejected. We don't feel accepted. Feelings of personal control. All I need to do is say the right things and follow these precepts, and all of these positive things will happen to me. So it makes me feel like I have control. The sense that life is meaningful, of course, because not only does your current life feel meaningful, but your afterlife seems meaningful as well. You're going to be this person or this entity once you die. If a person sees an illness as a punishment from God, they will experience more physical and psychological distress than normal. In other words, if they feel guilty about something, if they feel like they have sinned, then potentially, of course, they will have a relatively extensive reaction to their illness. And they may potentially die, or it may become debilitating for them if they feel like God is punishing them. Which is a possibility. Prayer of itself seems to have no health benefits. It has no health benefits in itself. But the more positively you feel about your religion, the more likely that the prayer will give you, will pump endorphins into your system. So there is always a possibility that prayer will actually help. If you believe that it will help, then it will help. We have healing substances in our system. We can marshal our healing properties and send them to a select area of our body to help us heal. We can do that. We have that capability. If you pray, then sometimes that's exactly what happens. People who meditate, gurus, yogas, those individuals in India have the ability to heal themselves. And what they're doing is they're marshaling, I know he was here before, they're marshaling their healing properties, these substances in their body, and they're pumping them into that area to make it heal. Now the question is, can you do this without prayer? And the answer is, of course you can. If you believe that it's going to happen, if you think that it's going to happen, and you concentrate, we're not talking about meditation, we're not talking about anything special, but if you believe that it's going to happen, then it will happen. How about that? However, if you go to a select church and you believe that religion, then probably you can't do it by yourself. You have to go through the precepts of your religion in order to get this to take place. This works with Navajo traditionalism. It works. Of course it works. We have this capability of healing ourselves. One of the things that we do know is that if somebody prays for us, somebody who's 1,000 miles away, and they have a prayer circle, and they pray for us, will that force us to heal? Will we heal because of that? And the answer is no. This has to be within ourselves. When we were living in Chinook, they had a prayer circle, and these people would fast for 3 days, and they would come together and they would all pray for a select individual. And of course, people would write them letters and say, please pray for my daughter. She's got leukemia, that kind of stuff. And they would fast for 3 days, and then they would all come together. And the more people in the prayer circle, of course, the stronger it was. Did it make any difference? No, it doesn't. The healing has to come from within. It can't come from without. So we can say that. I can say that. It does work. We have the ability to heal ourselves, to some extent. If you've got metastasized cancer, now that's a different situation. You got lots of different areas that you've got to take care of.
Have you seen that show of Morgan Freeman? That he travels out throughout the world and he tries to figure out what God is to.
He asked
what is God is, or what is God, and then he resorts to that saying as God is within.
Yeah.
Within individuals.
Sure.
Different cultures believe that God is within you, and you are healed from the inside.
Sure.
Right. So,
And I actually just said that, except what I was saying was you can heal yourself whether you're religious or not.
yeah.
Yes, you can call it. I mean, he would call it God because he believes in God, and you would call it whatever you call it. And since I don't have a religion, I can still heal myself, but I don't It's coming from within, which pisses people off because they want me to die since I'm an atheist. I was, when I was in the military, every Sunday, of course, is church day, so everybody would go to church. Well, I don't have a church to go to, so I said I didn't want to go. And my DI, the guy who was in charge, said, I don't have any atheists in my outfit. And I said, well, I'm not going to church because I don't believe any of that. I said, I probably shouldn't. And it pissed him off to the extent that he made me clean the bathroom with my toothbrush. Now, there's a lot of negative things in there. There's a lot of bacteria in the bathroom. And this is my toothbrush, okay? And I had to brush my teeth every day. That was one of the rules. So he potentially was trying to kill me, if you think about it. I mean, I'm cleaning the toilets with my toothbrush. How clean can you get your toothbrush is the question. There was no Clorox to dip my toothbrush in. I didn't get sick, so don't worry, I didn't die. Yeah, I know you guys are afraid. But I did that, we were in basic training for 8 weeks. And every Sunday I cleaned the bathroom with my toothbrush. And I never got sick. Not only that, but I set running records. This is at Lackland, and I was setting all these records. And of course, he was betting on me, and I was winning every time. He was making all this money. And at the same time, every Sunday he got pissed off because I wouldn't go to church. There were 2 of us actually that wouldn't go, that didn't go to church. The rest of everybody else went. Now, I should have gone to church. Shouldn't I have just gone to church and pretended that I was religious and just kind of sat there and farted or something? Couldn't I have done that? Should I have done that? That's what my brothers and sisters did. We weren't religious, but they went to Bible school. I was the only one that wouldn't go. And so I got in trouble. Once again, I got in trouble. But they went, despite the fact that they weren't any more religious than I was. But they were unethical in saying that they were, just to be socially acceptable. And I found that to be unethical behavior. All my brothers and sisters, all 5 of them, went to Bible school. That's unethical. If I don't believe in that stuff, why would I go? Why should I go? And I was in the 3rd grade, and I was making these statements. And people were pissed. Anyway, okay, so the physiological effects, stress management, exercise. Exercise is good for you. It enhances blood flow to the brain. It lowers your blood pressure and your resting heart rate. It reduces your cardiovascular reactivity to stress. You have fewer stress-related health problems if you exercise. Psychological effects, it enhances your sense of well-being because you can do something. You can walk the stairs. Don't you feel good? You didn't walk the stairs today, did you?
What?
Did you walk the stairs?
No.
But didn't you feel good when you walked the stairs? At least you felt like you did something. Kiana, did you walk the stairs? Did you? See, you feel better. That's good. You need to feel better. It gives you a sense of well-being. I can do this. And it's one of the reasons why I walked the trail, even in knee-deep snow, because I wanted to feel like I did something. And it gave me a sense of well-being. It decreases your anxiety if you exercise. Exercise offers time out, change of pace, boost of self-esteem. It improves your appearance because it makes you, it decreases the amount of fat on your body. You remember when you lost all that weight because you were competing with everybody else? Didn't you feel good? Made you feel, you won twice, didn't you? Once, just the one time. It reduces depression by elevating low serotonin levels, similar to the effect of antidepressant drugs. So it actually raises your serotonin level. And this is something that is good. And so now your serotonin level is way up there because you walked the stairs today. I just about didn't make it. That last step, I didn't think I was going to make it. I made it anyway.
I have a question, Bruce.
Yeah.
About
Not religion.
yeah,
Oh, God. Okay.
about prayer.
Okay.
I was watching that show last night,
Sure.
so you brought religion up, and then
It's my fault.
and I was watching it, and they were examining an individual, and then that was atheist, and
Sure.
also Morgan Freeman, who they examined their brain activity
Sure.
as they were praying. So
The atheist was praying?
the atheist was told to, I don't know,
Okay.
but they were tracking the brain waves
Sure.
between that individual that has prayer and that individual that doesn't have prayer. And through spiritualism, or even just thinking about spiritualism, through prayer, they said that atheists, their brain waves, or they have reaction to where they can't, something to do with, they can't reach that point to where a person with prayer can, to where the brain which comes within to heal, they can't reach that because they're more scientific based, and they don't believe in prayer or
Sure.
anything like that, so it's harder for them to intervene.
So there's a mechanism. If you pray, then you have a mechanism to get to this point.
Yeah.
Whereas the atheist doesn't have that same
That
mechanism.
ability, yeah.
So potentially he doesn't have the ability to do it.
So that's my question is like, is that,
I would question whether that was scientific or not. Who is this individual that is the atheist? And who is this individual that is the guy that's doing the praying? And we need equality. We need two individuals that are totally equal. Well, if you're just taking some atheist off the street and you're taking Morgan Freeman, who's in his 80s, 70s, late 70s, who's been very religious all of his life, there's no equality there. We would have to find somebody who's Morgan Freeman's age and compare them with Morgan Freeman.
so I guess the examination or the research there was looking at how do people that are atheists or people without prayer heal themselves and heal the world around them.
Okay.
So that was the research.
Sure, well, potentially that was, but when they looked at those two brain scans, they weren't looking at two equal people. So it was flawed research. Unless the atheist was a 79-year-old atheist. He
So
needed to be equal to Morgan Freeman. And potentially, he also needed to be African American, because Morgan Freeman's African American. So if we're going to compare two brain scans, we needed Morgan Freeman, the religious guy, and we needed some African American atheist who's 79 years old. That's what we needed. And that's not what they had, was it? The guy was younger.
I can't recall. I just watched it last night, but I can't remember.
Now, I understand your point, and I understand their point, but I think they probably had an agenda, because that's unequal research. That's comparing two things that shouldn't be compared.
But I would recommend you watch it. And maybe
Well, I saw one saw it one time. And they were, I don't know, they were bouncing around the world looking
Yeah.
at Hindus and they were looking at Buddhists.
it's really interesting.
Yeah, I found it
talking
fascinating.
about religion and talking about what God means to throughout the world, different cultures.
We had a conversation after yesterday after class, and it was about religion. I really like talking about religion. I find it fascinating. I find religion fascinating because, well, I've suffered so much because of it. And that may be one of the reasons why I reject it so much, because of all the negative things. There are negative aspects of religion as well. It's exclusionary.
I guess I'm interested. I find interesting how a person that's atheist finds comfort, healing, balance. I'm trying to figure that out for myself. Like, how does an individual that gain that balance of comfort and becoming in harmony with nature.
I can only answer for myself. I'm a fairly balanced individual. I don't need somebody else telling me that I'm okay. I can do it myself. My problem with religion is that it's exclusionary. Religion's rejection. They reject people that aren't like them. And sometimes it has to do with race. Your own traditionalism rejects other people that are not of the same tribe. The ceremony last night, and we discussed this, the ceremony last night was for Navajos. It wasn't for anybody else. It couldn't be for anybody else. You guys don't do that. So religions are exclusionary. If you're Catholic, you get the cross on your forehead today. If you're not Catholic, you can't get that cross on your forehead today. That's ashes. Ash Wednesday. That's exclusionary. They're separating themselves from everybody else.
Is that a
Mormons? Oh yeah.
just because I'm pastor churches, part of those, so I don't know if it's funeral or Ash Wednesday.
It's Ash Wednesday. Mormons don't do that. Totally different game. Baptists don't do Ash Wednesday. Episcopalians don't do. The only people that do Ash Wednesday are Catholics.
What can I do to
And
become
Lutherans.
atheist?
Sorry?
What can I do to become atheist?
You can't become an atheist. You have to be born an atheist to become an atheist. No, you shouldn't.
Presbyterians also do it.
I don't think so, because my wife has never done that. She's never come home with ashes on her forehead. And she's Presbyterian, so I don't think they do. Episcopalians might.
Oh, yeah.
Episcopalians are the Anglican Church, and the Anglicans are.
A little harder.
They were Catholic. Well, remember, the Anglican Church came from the Church of England. The Church of England came from the Catholic Church when Henry VIII wanted to marry another lady, and the church would nullify his first marriage, or his second marriage, or his third marriage, or something. Anyway, so he broke from the Catholic Church. What do you need to do to become atheist? No, you should keep your own traditions. You should keep your own religion. That's what I believe in. I think, and we were talking about this the other day. If you're Navajo, you need to be Navajo. But if you ain't Navajo, don't dress and act Navajo. That just doesn't make any sense. That's not real.
So as an atheist, you also believe in like the devil?
No. No, hell no. The devil is a theism, right? Isn't he? He's-
Satanism?
Well, apparently what was taught, or what I was taught, because I grew up in a Christian home.
Sure.
I went to school, or not to school, but I grew up in a Christian home. What we were told, and it does say it in the Bible, was that Satan was an angel. You know, he was an
Sure.
angel in heaven. And,
Left hand of God.
But yeah, right, yeah. He
Thrown
was
out
one
of-
yeah, thrown out of heaven.
Sure.
Because he tried to become God himself.
Right. But that's a theism.
Yeah, and then so they cast him out.
Sure. No, if I believed in Mithra, if I believed in anything, I would be a Mithralist, I would be a Satanist, and that would be a theism. If I'm an atheist, that means I have no faith. I don't believe in anything. Right. So those individuals, and of course this has been propaganda about non-believers for an extended length of time, that they were Satanists. That just doesn't work out. By definition, it doesn't fit, because they don't believe in any of that stuff. Any religion, whether it's Hinduism or Buddhism or whatever. Not that that's important, we're talking about health here, health psychology. And you're healthier because you believe in what you believe in. And I'm healthier because I believe in what I believe in. And hopefully that's what everybody does. Progressive muscle relaxation is a form of training that reduces muscle tension through a series of tensing and relaxing exercises. Progressive muscle relaxation is the cornerstone of many modern relaxation procedures. It involves selecting a muscle group to target tensing the muscles for 10 seconds and then slowly releasing them. You can do this yourself if you're having problems falling asleep. Try muscle relaxation. Tense up the muscles. Your major muscle groups, do those first, and then as you progress through your major muscles, then go to your smaller muscles, your jaw muscles or whatever, and before you get all the way through all your muscle groups, you're going to fall asleep.
Sarah taught that technique when she first came.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, the muscle technique.
Okay.
Because some of us were really stressed out in her course. And she was kind of, because it was like the first run at it. I think it was like her second semester teaching it. It's like the technique. Like a wave, yeah.
From top to bottom?
Yes, the bottom.
I was going from bottom to top, and I never made it up in my head. So, yeah, I always tighten my leg muscles first. But then again, I was a runner, and I still am a runner to some extent. So the bottom line to religion, yeah, exactly. The bottom line to religion, the bottom line to life is you need to be who you are and not want to be somebody who you're not. You guys can never be white, okay? It's never going to happen. So you shouldn't want to be white. I'm white. I should never want to be Navajo.
So, like for example, we talk about religion, you say you shouldn't want to be white. Okay, so Christian and also all these different churches have become global.
Sure.
And
They're evangelical.
Yeah, and are they creating dysfunction or?
Well, that's the way I see it. I see them as causing dysfunction because they're exclusionary. Because if you're a Presbyterian, you can't be a Lutheran. The Lutherans don't like you. So you get into a basketball league, and these become blood battles between the Lutherans and the Presbyterians and the Episcopalians. That's the part that I couldn't handle. I couldn't handle that. I played softball for a Methodist team one time. God. They were trying to kill each other. It was nuts. This is a game, you guys. Come on. No, it was a life and death situation between, two ways of looking at God and two ways of looking at Jesus. I mean, they were ready to kill each other. It was nuts. But they're exclusionary.
I had a Bible, the Bible schools, the bus would come, the van would come around the initiation. We would get picked up and then we would be taken to the church. And then at the church, we were told, okay, if you see a man with a bun and with a handkerchief around his head,
Sure.
or if you see him singing or praying,
Right.
he's actually praying to the devil. And he's wishing bad things upon you. And it's the devil's way. This is the right way. God is the right way to believe in one God. You, as Navajos, need to believe in this one God, because if you believe in that culture and that, it's the devil, it's Satanism, it's evil. So that's what I was told.
That's wrong. They were wrong. You should have punched that guy right in the face. Of course, you're only this tall.
So
The best time to get somebody is when they're young, because they don't know what to believe and what not to believe. They believe the wrong thing. That's just
it causes for me, it's a question, like
your tradition.
my traditions. So I was growing up, and I had individuals that said a lot of that to me while at Bible school, and it was really difficult for me to understand as a young person.
Sure.
So at one time in my life, I thought, okay, God is the righteous way, the Bible, and going to Bible school. But and then again, at home, my grandmother was So it was really something to experience.
It
So
created
it
cognitive
created an
dissonance.
unbalance.
I had the same experience with Latter-day Saints Church. Our family did the Mormon church for like 12 years down in Phoenix, Elisa, and like they would tell our family. And I remember when I was a kid, they would say that our traditional animal beliefs were, evil ways, like you shouldn't go that way. Something very similar. I remember as a kid. But
And
we
if
don't go to that church.
If you can get them when they're young, you can change their mind. I mean, their minds are malleable. And that's why they grabbed you guys off the street and probably fed you. They did things that they shouldn't have done, like they gave you food. And they used that as a tool to teach you their way of thinking. And that was incorrect. I've been screaming about this all my life.
I actually caught myself holding my hand in the air and praying to God. And I started to feel like my religion was a bullshit. And I was praying to God. And
Bullshit's a good word now. The president used it in his speech. Okay, yeah, so, but we're older now, and we recognize the negative things that they tried to do to us. The different ways of thinking. Now, if you grow up with a religion, there's no problem with staying with that religion. If that's part of your being, then you need to stay with that religion. The problem is when another religion comes and tries to tell you that your religion is wrong. That's the bad thing. And of course, that's the job of, that's the point of Christianity. Proselytizing is part of Christianity.
I think a lot of the generation become confused because a lot of, for example, I have uncles and family members.
Sure.
They believe in all three. We believe in church, we believe in tradition, and we believe in science. And they talk about it, and they're at a ceremony,
Right.
and then they're praying, and they're talking about traditional ways and culture. And
Right.
they're singing songs. And then they go to church, and then they're praying to God, and they're saying, what we do over there is evil, but help us, save us. And then they believe in science and say that all of that is nonsense. So their kids are just
Torn between three
Yeah.
different worlds.
They don't
Oh
know
my
what to
God,
believe.
what's going to happen next? And that's the problem. There are religious people that don't think that schools should teach science. If you live in Kansas, you can't teach evolution. It's against the law to teach evolution in Kansas. You should be able to balance all of these, but you can't do this as a small child. That doesn't make a lot of sense to you. You can't do that. Everybody's good. Wait, no, that's not what they're teaching you, is it? They're teaching you that the other people are bad. Science is bad. The religion's teaching you science is bad. They're teaching you traditionalism is bad. And in traditionalism, you're trying to teach people that they need balance in their lives, but you can't talk about Christianity. You can't talk about the church. And when you talk about healing people, you're talking, it's kind of an anti-science thing going on. So, you guys are torn into three different parts. And I understand that.
I think for me it was my daughter that kind of, she has a cleft palate, and her first cleft palate surgery was when she was 5. And we were in Albuquerque at the Presbyterian Hospital. And what caught me by surprise is, we were driving down the road one day, it was about a year after her first surgery. She was like, just out of the blue, she was like, "Mom." And I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "Remember when I was 5, I had my surgery?" And I said, "Yeah." She goes, "I wasn't the only one there, Mom." And I was like, "Okay, what are you talking about?" When we're driving.
Sure.
And so she says, "Well, remember, Mom, when they were trying to put me to sleep and I couldn't go to sleep?" She goes, "Remember they made me drink that juice to put me to sleep?" I said, "Yeah, I remember that." She goes, "I remember," she goes, "you and Dad walked out of the surgery room and they told you guys to leave. I said, yeah, we left you. And of course, we left her in the room,
Sure.
and the hospital at the time was going through renovation. So the hallway to the waiting room was kind of like
Oh, sure.
zigzag, this way. We finally made it to the waiting room, and then she didn't know where the waiting room was at because we didn't show her. We just took her straight to
Right.
to the OR.
Sure.
And so what caught me by surprise was when she said, "Well, Mom, I woke up and I wasn't alone." And I said, "You weren't?" She goes, "No, Mom." She said, "Jesus was there." And I said, "Okay." So she goes, "I woke up and I saw myself laying on the gurney." I guess she was on
Sure.
the bed. She goes, "And I saw my mouth open wide and the doctors were looking at my mouth." And then she said, and then Jesus said, "We want to go see your mom and dad." And so she said, "Okay, I want to go see them." So she goes, "We didn't walk, Mom, we floated." And she said, she told me exactly the hallway. That was
Sure.
so weird. We went down the hallway, we had to go this way, we went this way, we went this way. And I'm like, how did she know that? Because she wasn't even awake.
Yeah,
wasn't
she had
even
no
with us.
clue how to do
And
that.
then she said, and we got to the waiting room, Mom. She goes, and you were sitting on this side. And that's where I was sitting.
Sure.
And she goes, you were with my auntie, and you guys were sitting over here. And she goes, across this way, she goes, my dad and she calls them Grandma and Grandpa Fish. So she goes, Grandma and Grandpa Fish were on this side of the dad, they were sitting. And she goes, my grandma and grandpa were up on this side. And that's exactly how we were sitting. And she couldn't have known that. She would not have known. She had no clue how we were sitting.
Sure.
And we never told her either.
Right.
And then I was like, okay. And then she goes, and then Jesus said, all right, we're almost done now. Let's go back.
Sure.
She said, you took me back to the OR room.
Right.
And then I went back. And so that was like,
That is very strange.
mind-boggling.
Right.
So went ahead and talked to her next follow-up with the surgeon.
Sure.
We brought it up, and I asked the surgeon, how did the surgery go? Was there any way that, she
Sure.
might have passed on, or,
Right.
something bad might have happened with her surgery? He was like, no, everything was normal, her heart rate was normal, we had everything, she was good to go.
Sure.
Then I had to tell her the story. This is what she was. And he was just like, he didn't know, he started crying,
Okay.
so, I mean, that was just something that,
Can anybody explain what happened?
It could be the body's defense.
Okay.
Like if you're just thinking rationally, if you're in an atheist point of view.
You don't have to be an atheist point of view.
No, it's like if you're thinking, that's the thought of an atheist. But if you're religion, you point to comfort or you accept it.
What about the scientific point of view?
Scientific point of view, not on the top of my head right now.
Why in the world would she have that thought in the scientific? Not an atheist, I guess.
Okay.
scientific.
So the child's like 5 years old, they're just scared and retracting some memory of, the hallway and what the parents or grandparents look like. And
They gave her something. Made her hallucinate.
hallucinogenic, yes.
But you can have any explanation. It's okay.
Yeah.
You could have any.
But yeah,
As far as I'm concerned,
scientifically, yeah. there's
yeah,
a
she
great-
drank that stuff. There was an opiate in there. The opiate made her hallucinatory.
And then the anesthesia.
And how does she see Jesus? Jesus is a man wearing a white robe with something with a long beard, long hair. Sounds like doctor, nurse. So if she saw all those people in their scrubs, they all had to have they had a white outfit on. I mean, she wasn't alone. She was with all those doctors and nurses.
Yeah.
But, okay, anyway.
But the out-of-body experience is another.
The out-of-body
Yeah.
experience is relatively normal. We hear about those all the time. And it doesn't have anything to do with religion, doesn't have anything to do with spirituality. It has to do with,
Dream.
I'm sorry?
Would it be something similar towards like a dream?
Yeah, sure. I mean, you potentially have had a dream where you're flying. That's very common. I'm not trying to,
Yeah.
you know, I understand
Yeah.
that your religion's very important to you and you believe what you believe, but at the same time, there are other explanations.
And there's a lot of explanations, not many people can actually, they're just theories. and hypotheses.
Well, of course, everything has to be a theory because she was in an unconscious state,
Yeah,
or maybe a semi-conscious state.
something,
Probably in a semi-conscious.
yeah.
She was probably remembering. They probably knocked her out pretty good. She was told what the surgery was going to be. How long does it take you to have a dream? Hours? Minutes? Seconds? So she may have just dreamed that before they knocked her out. The whole thing.
Yeah, but the thing is, she didn't know how we were sitting, she didn't know how and that's one thing, it's like, okay, well, how did you know? You know,
If she knew they were there, she may have just visualized how it would be. But that's me and my scientific, non-spiritual
You just
world.
took the whole spiritualism out of that.
I
Still
apologize. I know.
I was moved by it.
You got goosebumps.
Yeah. I call those miracles.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
For me, I guess, as a traditionalist or a person who believes in
I've been involved in those miracles over and over and over again in the emergency room. And people would say,
amazing.
how long does it take to identify somebody? I've had people that came in, and of course they were only semi-conscious, and we wheeled them in, and we worked on them, and they died, and then we brought them back, and then they died, and then we brought them back, and afterwards I'd go and I'd draw their blood, and they say, I saw you in the emergency room. You know, I was floating around the room, and I saw you in the emergency room, and I'm thinking, no, that's not what happened. You were semi-conscious. You did see my face. You know, I was the short guy standing over there with a tie on. No,
So
but
if you have a secure attachment, and with that result in becoming attached with or building a relationship with God, spiritually,
Sure.
any type of spiritual.
yeah, I mean, the whole point is, she's calling this guy Jesus. If she were religious, who would he have been? She would have had the same vision, or maybe not. Maybe she would have floated herself. But I mean, if we have anything that we can't explain, we explain it by using spiritualism or God or whatever. God did this or God did that.
But the thing though is with that,
The city.
you know, she was small and I didn't really explain the religion to her. I never really explained that portion to her because she was still small. She wouldn't have understood.
What she would have heard,
anything.
she would have heard this from different places.
Maybe.
Sure.
But, yeah,
Church every Sunday, so.
yeah.
Oh, I mean, if she went to church every Sunday, went to Sunday school, then she was hearing this stuff. And even as a 5-year-old, even as a 3-year-old, I mean, kids understand what's going on. And I'm not,
Influenced by.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to talk
It's okay.
anybody out of their spiritualism. I really am not. But what I'm saying is there's an explanation for just about everything.
I'm like,
And I want you to have your spiritual ideas. I want you to do that. And I'm not trying to make all you guys white. Cut your hair and
Jesus.
wear clothes like I do. Okay, there we go. Okay. That's what I'm not trying to do. But see, now you're in black today.
Yeah.
Relaxation response is a meditative state of slowed metabolism and lowered blood pressure. Deep breathing and visualization involves slowing down your breathing and making it deeper. If you've ever been in a situation if you've ever been in a dangerous situation, to your mind, everything slows down. There's a reason for that. You're trying to control the situation, so your brain is slowing everything down, or it's actually speeding everything up, so everything seems slower. Your breathing is slower, everything is deeper, so that you can concentrate on everything that's happening. And the first time that you were in a situation like this, you were focused, and you didn't see everything. But the more it happened to you, the more your vision expanded.
That happened to one of my in-laws. She was in a head-on, and what caught me off guard was, she was, I knew the car was coming to me. I was holding on to the steering wheel, but then she thought, well, if I sit this way, I'm going to injure myself more. So she goes, I shifted myself this way, and I moved my feet onto on the middle part of the car, the console. And she said, I put my feet up there. Then she goes, and then I thought, well, if EMS is going to come get me, how are they going to get to me? So she goes, I cracked my windows, I opened up my door a little bit, and I braced myself. And then she, that's what they
all
did.
All this within
seconds, yeah.
Exactly.
You didn't what? She explained it that way.
I anticipate what's going to happen and what I need to do.
Yeah.
I know what I need to do in my little car. I'm a dead man if I'm in that car and I'm in any kind of a crash. Especially if I'm looking out the windshield. So my plan is to lay down. I'm going to hurt my back, but at least I'll still get up. Because I'll have the rest of my car protecting me. And that'll take all of a nanosecond to lower myself. So, everything slows down.
That's what I was telling her. I said, you just did a whole... It's interesting.
We're not really going to talk about biofeedback. Mindfulness-based stress reduction. Mindfulness-based stress reduction is a technique used to self-regulate negative reactions to stress. This training increases the activity in the prefrontal cortex of the brain. It regulates activities in the amygdala. It regulates other parts of the limbic system that are activated by negative emotions and anxiety. So everything goes through the amygdala, and of course, because of that, you have an overly emotional reaction to it. So what you need to do is control those emotions. And as long as you can control the emotions, you're okay. Cognitive therapy teaches people new, more adaptive ways of thinking and acting. Cognitive therapy is based on the assumption that thoughts intervene between events and our emotional reactions. Our biggest problem is that we think negatively, and we need to get rid of that. Sarah is a cognitive psychologist. Cognitive psychology supports the idea that we have incorrect ideas that we ruminate about, that we repeat in our own brains, and that's what we need to get rid of, these negative thoughts that we have. And as long as we can get rid of these negative thoughts, we can promote positive thoughts. And that's, of course, positive psychology. That's part of positive psychology, getting rid of your negative thoughts and introducing positive thoughts. Or, as we like to say in positive psychology, realistic thoughts. Your negative thoughts are unrealistic thoughts. I'm stupid, I'm ignorant, I'm ugly, I can't do this, nobody likes me because I smell bad. All of these things are unrealistic thoughts. Put on deodorant.
Like retraining the mind?
Well, yeah, and in essence, that's exactly what we have to do. And the reason we have to do that is because somebody in your life has told you you're stupid. And that has resonated in your own brain. So you have, just because Uncle Charlie thinks you're stupid, because you're not the same as his kids, so he thinks he's trying to denigrate you so that you will not be as successful as his children. That's what Uncle Charlie is doing. These thoughts become repetitive in your own mind. I'm stupid, Uncle Charlie said I was. Well, eventually you forget that Uncle Charlie said it. Now all of a sudden, this is a repeating theme in your own life. I'm stupid, I'm stupid, I'm stupid. And this can change the way that you do things. I grew up in I told you I went to a high school where they trained us to be factory workers. That's what we were supposed to do. So this was resonating throughout our lives that that was as good as we were to be a factory worker. And the best you could be would be a foreman at the factory. That's the best you could be. So none of us thought about being a lawyer or a doctor or a college professor. This didn't exist. The best you could be would be a high school teacher. Maybe. Possibly. So we weren't thinking in these directions because people were telling us that we should be factory workers or we should be housewives. In the old days, and this is something that you guys have never experienced, they wanted all women to make babies and to be housewives, not to be workers. This is back in the 50s and the 60s. In the 50s and 60s, we were trying to train people to be good Americans by being good factory workers and to make babies and to take care of the home. We didn't want women to work outside the home. Now, you weren't taught that. You were taught home ec. You went to home ec. The same time the boys went to shop, you went to home ec class. The girls didn't take shop class. The boys didn't take home ec because the women were supposed to stay home and take care of the house, and the men were supposed to go to get a job in the factory and work or a farm. That's what we were supposed to do. So we get these negative ideas, and we don't know where they came from. Maybe your dad called you pudgy sometime, once upon a time. So now you think that you're fat. And you forgot that dad told you that he was just teasing you, but you took it as a mission in life, not to be fat. So now you think of yourself as little Miss Pudgy or little Mr. Pudgy. But you don't remember where that came from. So these are the negative thinking that we do. Whatever somebody told us. Maybe you were told you were going to hell because you didn't go to the right church. Now you've forgotten who told you that on the street. But now you think you're going to go to hell. So you figure, what the hell? I'll just drink and take drugs and do all this crazy stuff because I'm going to hell anyway. But you don't remember where the thought came from. It was that crazy lady down the street. So anyway, we need to replace our negative thinking with positive thinking. And of course, that's the next chapter. I didn't mean to talk about religion. I apologize. I have my own ideas about religion.
It's interesting.
I have been rejected by women because I was not a religious person. As you can imagine. I had a best girlfriend I've ever had. Oh, she was just wonderful. But when we started getting serious, and she said I could never marry a man who doesn't believe in God. What she was trying to do was get me to lie to her. But I'm not very good at that. Well, I am. I wasn't a liar that day. Just to get laid, it ain't gonna happen. Oh, I said that on the tape. I could have been a liar. And she was gorgeous. She looked like, what is that lady? I Dream of Jean? Barbara Eden. Oh my God. Identical twins, except she had dark hair. Oh, she was gorgeous. But she could never marry a man who didn't believe in God, even though she didn't go to church. I didn't understand that. Staying healthy, primary prevention, and positive psychology. How do we enhance our behavior, our exercising habit? We exercise regularly. That's what we need to do. Do push-ups, do sit-ups. You don't need equipment. Walk is good. Walking is good. If you're white or you're pale, you need to use sunscreen because you'll sunburn, and that's not great. He's looking at me. Eat healthy. Eat good foods. What'd you have for breakfast?
I don't know how you can teach like this. Or, I don't,
Yeah, I'm like annoyed by it,
I am
really,
too.
yes.
I mean, God, we pay money to come to class
know.
and they're
Well, we're
disrupting
paying them
our.
money to bother us. What'd you have for breakfast?
I had, let's see, rib, what's it called, barbecue rib?
For breakfast?
Yeah.
That's what my eyes were
I would
red when
have
I
that
came
breakfast
in.
too.
Okay, well, that's why your eyes are red. What did it have to do with it? You had water for breakfast?
Pepsi,
Pepsi?
zero sugar.
Zero sugar? Coffee? Coffee for breakfast? That's
That's
breakfast?
all I've had.
That's all you've had?
Granola bars
And a tangerine, that's really good. And of course, the niece isn't here. What'd you have?
I had to get to,
Oh, God. You probably ate the worst food.
yeah, gravy and biscuits.
No, they don't have that since.
Gravy and biscuits, my second wife was a gravy and biscuits person. She had it for breakfast every morning, sausage gravy. It had to be sausage gravy. I hated the sausage, ugh. What did I have for breakfast? I had a can of V8 juice. It's not bad.
Cannibal.
V8? 12 ounce. Okay. And what am I going to eat for lunch?
Bloody Mary.
It was, yeah, I put a little vodka in there, and now I don't mind the noise. You need to practice safe sex, and I explained to you why they talk about safe sex all the time. You guys are non-traditional students. You already understand all this stuff. You're never going to mess around like college kids do, having sex with a lot of different guys, a lot of different young ladies. You're never going to do this kind of stuff. But of course, this textbook was written for those individuals. Those individuals who are traditional students. They're 18, 19, 20 years old and stupid. And they do these kinds of stupid things all the time. Bounce from one bed to the other, whatnot. Wear your seat belts. This is really important. Especially if you're driving way too fast, like all of you do. Do we have anybody that drives the speed limit? Nobody? Okay, well, that's the way it goes. You need not to smoke, to be healthy. You need to watch the amount of food that you eat. You need to be careful. When you eat food, you need to not feel full. If you feel full, you ate too much. The reality is that our brains tell us when we're full, but it takes it 30 minutes for that message to get from here to here. It takes 30 minutes. So the faster you eat, the more likely you're going to overeat. If you're a slow eater, you're probably okay. I'm a slow eater. The only person slower than me is my brother and my son. Oh my God, it takes him 2 hours to eat a meal. And he's a chef. But he's relatively slender. He was anyway. He's getting a little bigger. Stay away from negative substances. This lady, of course, is snorting cocaine. And this is a really good picture. And the reason it is because look how red. That's exactly what happens to you when you snort cocaine. Your blood pressure goes up. And the reason it goes up is because it's a vasoconstrictor. So you turn red in the face. And of course she's got red hair and she's got hardly any pigmentation in her body. So you can see how red her face gets. Don't text when you drive. That's dumb as dirt. You're not looking at the road. You're not even thinking about driving. You're thinking about whatever. And of course, stay away from risky sexual behavior. It can cause all kinds of interesting problems. I just recognized that these are both men. Look at their feet. It's two men having sex. I just noticed it.
Why is it?
Why is there a tag on the toe?
Oh, is this supposed to represent that you might die of
Yeah.
HIV or something?
Yeah. They're both dead, is the point. They're both dead.
Oh, yeah, this is
The Youth Risk Behavior Surveillance Project is a project conducted by the CDC to determine what behaviors lead to early death. They're they're looking at all these kids, trying to figure out why they were going to die. If the following are started when young, premature death is predicted, smoking and other forms of tobacco use, tobacco will cut your life by 10 years. This is really important to me, and I didn't understand how important it was. When I was growing up, I used to read the obituaries, and I used to look and see how old people were. They don't even tell you anymore. Now they don't even tell you how old they were when they died. In the old days, they used to tell you not only how old they were, but they told you what they died of. They told you, they gave you all kinds of interesting information. Now, of course, you don't get this information anymore. But in the old days, we used to get all this information. And I'd go, oh, that guy died of lung cancer. Oh, that guy died of emphysema. Oh, that guy died at 52 of natural causes. No, there are no natural causes at 52. We all know why he died. Why did he die? Snorted cocaine. Of course, he was a wealthy guy. He could do that kind of stuff. He could afford that kind of stuff. Anyway, so there's reasons why people die. Smoking is one of them. You die young. You die of cancer. You die of emphysema. You die of COPD. You die of a lot of different causes. Eating high-fat and low-fiber foods. Once upon a time, I was in the Air Force, and one of our jobs was to follow a longitudinal study of pilots. We were trying to figure out why these guys were dying of heart attacks. This is back in the 70s. It had started back in the 50s. We had pilots that were pulling Gs, that when the planes got faster and they started pulling more and more Gs, they started dying of heart attacks. And we needed to figure out what was going on so that we could keep them from crashing their airplanes. We didn't care if they killed themselves. We didn't care. What we cared about was the fact that we had just spent $3 million on this airplane and this asshole had just crashed it. So we didn't care that he was dead, but we wanted to make sure that he didn't do it, that other people didn't do it in the future. So what we were doing, we were trying to figure out why these guys were dying of heart attacks. The other thing was that they were going to be pulling more and more Gs, and we wanted to make sure that all the planes were falling out of the sky. And potentially falling on people. We didn't want that. So one of the things that we did, we looked at what was causing atherosclerosis, and what we discovered that it was cholesterol. Then we needed to fractionate the cholesterol, and we divided it into cholesterol and triglycerides. Then we fractionated it into HDL, LDL, and triglycerides. So we were the ones that figured all this out. And what we were trying to do was keep these airplanes from crashing into the ground. We didn't care about the pilots. Who cares about pilots? They're assholes anyway. But we didn't care if they died, but we didn't want them crashing the airplane. We wanted them to die on the ground, but they were dying when they were pulling the Gs. Gs, of course, is gravity. So right now you're feeling 1 G. But if you're in an airplane and you're going really fast and trying to turn the corner, you'd be pulling 2 and 3 and 4 Gs. That's what happens to you when you're in a roller coaster. That's one of the reasons why you get
take off from let's say you take off from a flight.
2 Gs. Oh, when you're taking off? Well, it all depends on how fast he's going.
Commercial planes?
Commercial planes, you're probably pulling 1.5, maybe 2 Gs. Maybe 2 Gs. Yeah, if you can feel it, then it all depends on how fast they're taking off. Pilots, so how in the world do they save their lives when they're pulling all these Gs? Well, first of all, they've got a G suit on that neutralizes some of that. But the other thing is they need to force the blood into their heads and into their hands and feet, because the Gs force all the blood into your thorax. So what they have to do is they have to force the blood out of their thorax into their head. They don't really care that much. Well, they do, because they're turning the corner. And they don't want to, But they need to force the blood out of their thorax. And they do this by push down, they force, it's kind of like trying to take a dump. You got to force the blood out of your thorax. Anyway, that's the way they do it. We'll pick this up next time. I know, and I won't talk about religion again.